What's up everybody, welcome to another video, and I hope you're ready to flex those brain muscles. In this video I'm going to talk about my experience with imposter syndrome. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's essentially a lot of feelings of inadequacy, right? Feeling like we're not fit to be in the position that we're in, regardless of the experience we have or the things we've accomplished to get into that position. Okay, so I have a lot of experience with this, so I'm happy to share it, especially since this isn't something that's really commonly talked about. And this also isn't something that just affects people in academia. It affects people in all different areas, which I'll touch on here in a second. But as far as my experience goes, I've done a lot of reflecting about this, and I've sort of identified two roots of imposter syndrome, two key ideas that sort of fuel this imposter syndrome, at least based on my own experience. The first of those is expectations. A lot of times what I do, and what I've heard other people do as well, is set expectations, right, on myself that are unrealistic, right? I set unrealistic expectations, and doing that sort of sets me up to be disappointed or let down or to feel like a failure or feel inadequate. And I'll explain what I mean through my own experience. I remember being in calculus, right, taking calculus, and still being very early in my math journey. And since I was so early in my math journey, I didn't really have any expectations of myself, right? My mentality was like, hey, I'm still learning math. It's okay if I struggle. It's okay if I bomb a quiz or don't do well on an exam. I'm still new in this deal. I'm still learning, right? But as I progressed, as I took more and more advanced courses and started taking proof courses and all these things, the expectations I placed on myself got bigger, right? And what happened was I started to expect myself to struggle less and to do better on exams and better on quizzes and to understand things quicker and to remember every single topic that I've ever been shown in a previous math class. And a lot of those expectations are unrealistic. So what started to happen was I started to feel more and more like a fraud, like a failure as I got further into my math journey, right? And probably the worst of this was my last semester as an undergraduate, because I was applying for grad school and I was doing all these things, and I think part of it was that I had built up what it was supposed to look like and what it was supposed to feel like to get a math degree, to finish my undergraduate degree. I had built that up for so long that when I finally got there, the actual experience didn't live up to the expectations I had, right? Because I had built up these expectations to be unrealistic. And like I said, this isn't just unique to academia. I was listening to a podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience. If you're familiar with it, he had an astronaut on, and he asked the astronaut, what was it like the first time you looked at the Earth from space? And the astronaut said it was very underwhelming, right? And the reason why was not because it wasn't an amazing sight to see. It's because he had spent so long building up what it was supposed to look like and what it was supposed to feel like, that once he got up there and looked down at it, it didn't live up to the unrealistic expectations he had, right? So this is a very common thing. So what is the solution, right? How can we manage this? And really, the best solution I've come up with is really trying to manage our own expectations. And I understand that's kind of a general solution that may not help some people, but I kept it general on purpose because managing expectations may look different for everybody. I know what works for me, and there's a couple things. First of all, things like meditation, right? And I think the key to managing expectations is being really self-aware, being aware of my thoughts, being aware of my actions, right? And I think I get better at that through consistent meditation. So that's one of the things that I do. Another thing is communication. I talk to friends, family members, colleagues, professors, advisors. I talk to all those people and I'm honest with them about the things that I'm thinking, the expectations I have, the goals I have, the things I'm feeling, and I trust these people to give me honest feedback, to tell me, hey, these expectations, they're not realistic. This goal might not be achievable anytime soon. These other ones are, right? And they give me sort of that feedback from a different perspective, because a lot of times from our own perspective, it's hard to see what's realistic and what's not realistic. So those are the two things that I do, but again, different things may work for different people, but we really have to manage our expectations and be careful not to put us in positions where we basically set ourselves up to be disappointed and to feel like failures. So now I'm going to talk about the second root of imposter syndrome. And again, this is just one of those things that really fuels those feelings of inadequacy. That's what I mean by root. And that is comparing myself to other people. And this is something that I've done a lot in the past. I see a lot of other people do it as well, and I still have to catch myself doing it today and really stay away from it because I don't think it's productive at all. But what this looks like is, looking around a classroom, seeing, oh, these people are really learning this quickly, they're answering all these questions, they're really getting this, they must be good at this, and I must be not very good at this, right? Oh, this person got an A in the exam, I got a C, they must be smart and good at math, and I must be less smart and not as good at math, right? And these are these comparisons that I see a lot of students make as well, not just me. This is very common, and I really think that this results in a lot of people convincing themselves that they're just not a math person, when reality is they maybe are just a little bit slower at learning. Maybe they have a different strengths and weaknesses. Maybe they haven't quite figured out how to study. There could be a lot of factors that are leading to them not getting as good of grades as the people around them that they haven't considered because they've quickly just dismissed it as not being good at math. But that's a topic for possibly another video. But the point I'm trying to make is that this all is really counterproductive, and instead what we should be doing, in my opinion at least, is focusing on our own progress, right? When I look at my own progress in math, I think about starting college with zero intentions of pursuing a math degree, walking into college algebra and dropping the first week because I didn't know any of the material, dropping down to intermediate algebra, working my way up to pre-calculus and calculus, changing my major to math, and finishing a math degree, and now being in grad school, just completed my first year, passed my first qualifying exam, received scholarships, dean's list, right? And I'm not doing this to brag, because at the end of the day, like I said, when I write down all my accomplishments, a lot of people have a lot more than me, and are a lot more qualified, and are smarter, and all those things. But I have to remind myself of how far I've come to really keep myself from feeling inadequate, and from comparing myself to others, and really just to let myself, to give myself some credit and let myself be proud of myself, because that's sometimes hard if you're anything like me, it's a little bit hard to do sometimes because we always want better and there's always progress to be made. And I think it's important to take a step back and really just be proud and, acknowledge the things we've accomplished. But anyway, I'm not saying there's no value in observing other people. I think there has to be a distinction between comparing myself to others and observing and learning from others. The observing and learning from others is something that I consistently do. If I get a C on an exam and that person over there gets an A, instead of saying, oh, I must be dumb and he must be smart, I'm going to go up to them after class and say, hey, I noticed you got an A. What is it that you did? Did you study the problems in the book? Did you use another resource? How long did you study? Would you be down to meet up this weekend and study together? Those are the kind of things that I do that I think are a lot more productive than simply just saying, well, I suck and this person's good. You know what I mean? So I think instead of comparing ourselves to others, we should look to, observe and learn from others. And I think a lot of times we have to really give ourselves credit for how far we've come, the progress that we've made, and what we've accomplished. Because at the end of the day, people have different speeds of learning. People have different strengths and weaknesses. We are all individuals. You know what I mean? So we all have to really just focus on our own progress and, get closer toward accomplishing our own goals and not compare our progress to someone else's progress. Hopefully that wasn't too much of a ramble. Hopefully that made sense. If you identified with something in this video, if you want to add on with your own experience, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, hit like, hit subscribe, and keep flexing those brain muscles. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.